Have you ever driven past one of those massive, sprawling church campuses and wondered, what's going on in there? For decades, megachurches were the titans of American religion. They were booming, building bigger and bigger buildings, drawing in tens of thousands of people every single weekend. It felt like an unstoppable movement. But lately, something's changed. The headlines are full of stories about scandals, declining attendance, and financial troubles. The once unstoppable megachurch bubble seems to be bursting. So, what's really going on? Is this the end of an era? Today, we're rediving deep into the 5 real reasons the American megachurch phenomenon is facing its biggest crisis yet. And trust me, the answers are more complex and fascinating than you might think. The first, and maybe the most obvious reason, is the erosion of trust. For years, many megachurch leaders were put on a pedestal. They were charismatic, powerful figures who seemed to have a direct line to the divine. But scandal after scandal has chipped away at that image. We've all seen the news reports: financial misconduct, power abuses, moral failures. When leaders who preach about integrity and righteousness are caught in hypocrisy, it creates a deep sense of betrayal. It's not just about one bad apple. It's about a pattern that makes people question the entire system. Worshippers start to wonder if the institution is more focused on protecting its brand and its leaders than on practicing the values it preaches. This creates a credibility gap that is incredibly difficult to close. Once that trust is gone, it's almost impossible to get back, and people simply vote with their feet. The second major factor is a huge cultural shift, especially among younger generations. Millennials and Gen Z have a completely different relationship with institutions than their parents or grandparents did. They grew up online, they're digitally native, and they value authenticity and transparency above all else. The highly polished, performance-driven style of many megachurch services can feel, well, a little fake to them. The slick production, the concert-style worship, the carefully crafted sermons, it can come across as more of a show than a genuine spiritual experience. Younger people are craving real community, honest conversations about difficult topics, and a faith that engages with the complexities of the modern world. They're not looking for a perfect performance. They're looking for a place where they can be their imperfect selves. When a church feels more like a corporation with a CEO than a family, it just doesn't connect. This leads us directly to reason number 3, the rise of deconstruction. This is a term you hear a lot these days, and it's a big deal. For many, deconstruction is the process of taking apart the beliefs they were handed, examining them piece by piece, and deciding what they still hold to be true. It's often triggered by a crisis of faith, maybe due to one of those scandals we talked about, or a conflict between their church's teachings and their own conscience on social issues. The highly structured, black-and-white theology of many megachurch environments often doesn't leave room for this kind of questioning. Doubt is sometimes treated as a failure of faith rather than a part of the journey. So, when people start asking tough questions, they often find themselves feeling isolated and judged, pushing them to look for answers outside the church walls. The internet has become a massive resource for these spiritual seekers, allowing them to connect with others on a similar journey and explore a wide range of theological perspectives that they would never hear from the pulpit. Reason number 4 is something that affects all of us: digital fatigue. The COVID-19 pandemic was a game changer. Almost overnight, every church had to become a digital church. They streamed services, hosted online small groups, and tried to replicate the in-person experience on a screen. At first, it was a lifeline. But now, several years later, we're all a little tired of Zoom meetings and live streams. People are craving real, face-to-face human connection. And here's the paradox. While megachurches have the resources to produce high-quality online content, their sheer size can make creating genuine, deep community a huge challenge. It's easy to feel anonymous in a crowd of thousands, whether that crowd is in a physical auditorium or a digital chat room. Smaller, more intimate faith communities are seeing a resurgence because they can offer something the megachurch struggles with: a place where you are truly known. People don't just want to consume content. They want to belong. Finally, we have the 5th reason: a fundamental change in what people are looking for from faith. The attractional model of church, which is the megachurch's bread and butter, is all about creating an exciting, appealing Sunday morning experience to draw people in. The idea is, if we have the best music, the most dynamic speaker, and the coolest kids programs, people will come. But after decades of this, many are starting to feel that it's spiritually shallow. They are tired of being passive consumers of a religious product. Instead, they are looking for a faith that is active, that calls them to do something. They want to be involved in their local communities, serving their neighbors, and working for justice. They are less interested in a big show on Sunday and more interested in how their faith can make a tangible difference in the world from Monday to Saturday. This shift is toward a more participatory, hands-on spirituality, a missional model, which often thrives in smaller, more agile settings than in the giant, program-heavy structure of a megachurch. So, when you put it all together, the broken trust, the generational disconnect, the deconstruction movement, digital fatigue, and a hunger for deeper, more active faith, you get a perfect storm. The megachurch bubble isn't just bursting because of one thing. It's a complex unraveling of a model that for a time seemed invincible. This isn't necessarily the death of the American church, but it is a profound transformation. People are seeking authenticity over performance, community over crowds, and participation over passive consumption. The organizations that will thrive in the future are the ones that listen to these deep longings and adapt. The future of faith in America won't be about the size of the building, but the depth of the connection. What do you think? Have you seen these changes in your own community? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'm really curious to hear your perspective. Thanks for watching, and if you found this interesting, please give it a like and subscribe for more deep dives into culture and society. See you next time.